Thanks, Yin. Great to have you along. And for anyone who has not seen me with glasses before, I normally wear contact lenses, particularly when I practice yoga. But I've had them on all day today, and I just felt like I needed to take them out, so I'm wearing my glasses tonight. Okay, so let's make a start. We're going to start with wall caterpillar pose. So finding a wall, and we're going to take our legs up the wall. So if you've just come in, we're starting with wall caterpillar pose. So make sure you have some nice padding for your buttocks to rest on, placing it up against the wall here. And you can come up in any way you like. I'm coming side on and swiveling around, leaning back my arms and taking my legs straight up. And your buttocks can be a little bit out from the wall if that's where you land. It's fine. And you can rest your arms out to the sides. And just take your time to make sure you're completely comfortable. Have your knees slightly bent. And let's all take a deep breath in through our nose and out through our mouth with an ah. Just inviting yourself to start to settle in. You may then notice the natural rhythm of your breath. The inhalation and the exhalation. And if you feel like joining for another sigh, take a deep breath in through your nose and out through your mouth with an ah. Just coming back and noticing the natural rhythm of your breath. Breath that is always with you. Something you can tune into at any time outside of the class. Just tuning into your breath can help you anchor in the present moment. So here, as we're resting in wall caterpillar, you like to shift your awareness to your legs. So we're working here down the back of our legs, our hamstrings. It's also a really good pose to ground your energy. It's a really good one to start the class with. We start to move into that still, restful space of yin. If you find you've got lots of thoughts, it's what the mind does. We spend most of our lives thinking. You can use your breath to anchor yourself back to the present moment rather than getting caught up in the thoughts. You can take conscious control and take some space from the thoughts by focusing on your breath. And you can just continually guide yourself back to your breath without pushing thoughts away. It's a gentle guiding. And let's take 2 more breaths here, just in your own time. And then bring your knees into your chest. And just pause here and wrap your arms around your knees, if they go there. I'm just going to stay in this position. And let's take a deep breath in through our nose and out through our mouth with an ah. And we're just feeling the rebound, which is the echo of the pose or the resonance. We'll just pause here for a moment just to allow that sense of release, that sense of as we come out of the pose. More energy to shift, balance. And now we're going to still stay lying down for the next pose. So you may like to roll to one side and then roll back onto your back. Coming onto your back. And we are going to, from here, move into eye of the needle pose. So bending into your knees with your feet flat on the floor. And let's take our left ankle over our right knee. So resting on our right knee or our thigh. See how that feels. And then if it feels okay, bringing your legs towards your torso. You can wrap your arms around the back of your right thigh or the front of your right knee or thigh. And here, we're wanting to feel it down the outside of our left thigh. So it's the iliotibial band that runs from your left pelvis right up to your left knee. Perhaps into your glutes as well. And you can adjust the positioning of your right foot up and down your right thigh. Notice if you bring it close down your right thigh, that will give you more of a stretch into your glutes. Really tuning into what your body needs so that you can find that edge, that place that is just right for you, where you're feeling something. We don't want to be feeling too much, or we don't want to feel any pain or stabbing sensations. They're all a sign that you need to ease back. Just feel that something is gradually working. So it's this gradual process in Yin. And as we stay still or relatively still in each pose, you may notice you need to make some subtle adjustments as your edge shifts. So you may adjust your right foot up or down your left foot, up and down your right thigh. If this is feeling too much, you could also place a bolster underneath your buttocks to give yourself some support. Too much for your lower back. See if that feels a little bit more comfortable for you. Maybe you're working, tuning back into your breath. You can use your breath to soften as you exhale. Final option here is to straighten your right leg. You could take your right leg, see how that feels. Might like to go there for just a little bit, or perhaps a bit longer. See how that changes the whole experience in your left leg. Let's take 2 more breaths here, just in your own time. Now releasing your legs back down and releasing your buttocks so it's nice and flat on the floor, lower back. And just doing a brief windshield wiper here or any other movement that feels comfortable for you. So I'm just dropping one knee into the center at a time. Just to ease out through our hips. And now let's head, or when you're ready, heading over to the other side. Replacing this time your right ankle on your left knee or thigh. Seeing how that feels, and then if it feels okay, bringing your legs in towards your torso. Noticing sensation in perhaps your right glute, or the outside of your right thigh. And working with a bolster underneath your buttocks if you're preferring for a little bit more support. And if you're not sure, you could try it with a bolster and see if this feels better for you. And try moving your right foot up or down your right thigh so you find that nice juicy place, that edge that's just right for you. And then tuning back into your breath. That natural rhythm of your breath. Making any subtle adjustments as we go along. And also softening through your shoulders, your arms, Perhaps your back as well as you're resting on the ground. So you're continually anchoring yourself back here in the present moment. Just noticing when your mind wanders off. That's what the mind does, and bringing yourself back here to your breath or to any sensations you can feel in your body. But also invite yourself to leave what's been in your day or your week, and perhaps what's to come as well, and to just be here. Here in this time to rest into the stillness of Yin in the space of your body. And let's take 2 more breaths here, just in your own time. And now releasing out of the pose, releasing your legs. You may like to windshield wiper your knees, or bring your knees to your chest. Seeing how your back, lower back is feeling. And let's just take our legs out long and pause for a moment to feel the rebound. Let's take a deep breath in through our nose and out through our mouth with an ah. So noticing any sensations in your legs. What's in your feet or your toes. And now let's leave the rebound and let's roll to one side. We're going to come up to sitting. So use the support of your arms to bring yourself back up. And once you are up, taking hold of your square cushion and sitting up on your square cushion. And let's come into straddle pose tonight. Let's take our legs out wide. And for the full straddle, you come forward, rounding through your spine. So we're flexing our spine forward. So for anyone who has a tendency to tuck in and round under their lower back, give yourself some more height, so you can add some extra padding underneath your buttocks or an extra cushion. You could also, if it's feeling too much for anyone's knees or hips, could add a couple of blocks underneath your knees and some nice support. Could also take a bolster out in front, so we use lots of props in Yin. And you could come forward to rest on your bolster. Could also use a block and rest your forehead, depending on how you're feeling. So noticing your inner thighs here. And also your hamstrings down the back of your legs. So we're finding the edge in those areas. So that position that feels not too much, but just right for you. And now softening in with your breath. You are gradually softening as you exhale. Allowing your body to soften into the supports if you're using supports. Really noticing your sit bones nicely connected, grounded to your mat or your cushion. Perhaps you could soften through your back or your shoulders. Just noticing your experience now. Adjusting your pose as you need to. Back to that natural rhythm of your breath. Let's take 2 more breaths here, just in your own time. And when you're ready, very, very slowly start to roll back up through your spine like you are unraveling, coming back up to sitting. Just pause. And when you're ready, remove your props to one side. And you may like to windshield wiper through your legs, leaning back on your hands. Ease out through our hips. And taking our legs out long here, just pausing for a moment. And let's take a deep breath in through our nose. And out through our mouth with an ah. Just coming back to your natural breath. Feels too much for your wrists, you can come up to sitting, or perhaps even bend into your knees. Allow your arms to rest over your legs. And now let's move on. So we're going to come up into a toe squat and then move into a spinal extension of melting heart pose tonight. So if you know your preferred version of toe squat, head on in at your own pace. otherwise following along. So make sure you have some nice padding underneath your knees here. And coming up onto your toes, so untucking your toes. This is option 1. Option 2 is a little bit deeper. You can place a couple of blocks in between your thighs and sit your pelvis on those blocks. Or option 3 is to simply sit back on your heels for a stronger stretch. Noticing how that feels for your toes. Noticing your feet, your ankles. Just bringing your awareness down there. Just exploring what you can feel. We will be here for about another 20 seconds or so. If you need to come out, feel free to come out. And now let's release out of toe squat, untuck your feet. Let's come into a 4-pointed kneeling position. And from here, we're going to head straight into melting heart. So you have your knees underneath your hips and your wrists underneath your shoulders. And for the full melting heart pose, we walk our hands forward, so keeping our hips above our knees. Start to drop our torso towards the ground. Our forehead can rest on the ground. You can take your arms a little bit wider apart to allow more space for your chest, your shoulders. If you have any issues in your neck, definitely use the support here. So have some padding underneath your head. And if it's feeling a little bit too much for your lower back, you could try coming up a bit higher on a bolster here. So that will lessen the compression in your lower back and give you more support. So wherever you're working, just tuning into your breath. And if you do experience any tingling in your hands, fingers, important to come out of the pose. You could try bending into your elbows and resting your forehead on your hands. And see if that helps. Tingling is a sign that you may be compressing a nerve. So very important to come out, to try that more supported option. Softening across your chest, your shoulders, softening down your arms. You can have your elbows a little bit bent. And let's take 2 more breaths here, just in your own time. And then start to crawl your arms back up. And from here, we're going to drop our buttocks towards our heels and rest back into child's pose. So your version of child's pose, you can have your arms out in front, or a different option is to have your knees closer together and to take your arms behind. And allow your forehead to rest to the floor. Just see which feels right for you. Arms behind may feel like a nice counter pose for our shoulders. Now let's take a deep breath in through our nose and out through our mouth with an ah. Allowing the weight of your body feel nice and supported by your mat. And now coming back up. And from here, we are going to work deeper into our hips, into our glutes. So we're going to work into swan and sleeping swan pose. And I will also give you an option for deer pose if swan and sleeping swan don't feel right for you. Okay. So starting in a four-pointed kneeling position. And let's start by bringing our right knee forward and left leg back. So I'm coming on, I'll just show you closer to the camera here. I'm bringing my right knee forward, bending into my right knee, and just using the support of my arms. So this is the first option for swan pose. And you can shuffle your sorry, I brought my left knee forward, but you can do either side. And your right leg is back. And from here, notice how it feels for your knee, your front knee. It feels okay. You can try bringing this foot forward and resting your pelvics a little bit closer to the ground here. So you may notice you become a little bit lopsided. It can actually help your leg forward. For some people, that's useful. For others, it may not be. If it's feeling too uncomfortable, stay in the first option. And if you are flopping over to one side, you can use some padding underneath your buttocks on the side where you need a little bit of support. So I'm putting something underneath my left buttocks. You can take your arms a little bit out to the sides here. So we're like a nice graceful swan, possibly. So staying in swan if you feel comfortable there. If this is just not working for you in any way, you could come into deer pose by sitting up on a cushion and bring our right leg in and left leg behind. That is a different option. And now from swan, we are going to move into the sleeping swan. So we start to fold forward. So you may like to come onto some blocks. Rest your elbows on some blocks or onto a bolster. Or perhaps it's just okay to head down to the ground. Just noticing how it feels for your left buttocks and for your left knee, for your hips. Just making any subtle adjustments. You can rest right down if you're comfortable going right down. Just really tuning into what you can feel. Whether you've gone too far, you need to ease back. And connecting in with your breath. To that natural rhythm of your breath. And let's just take one more breath here. We won't be here too long, just in your own time. And now walking your hands back up. So you're slowly coming back up. And then taking your left leg back so you can press your palms into the mat. Take your left leg back. Now you may like to move your hips around a little bit here. Or perhaps if anyone knows down dog, you may like to come up into a down dog position. Pedal out through your heels. Just really feeling into what works for you. And now we'll move to the other side. So I'm now going to do my right leg forward. So make sure you do the opposite one that you did before. So right leg comes forward. Shuffle your left leg behind. You can also pad that back knee. Put padding under your back knee if important to support your joints. And then turning out through that right front foot if you're working there. And if you're a little bit lopsided, placing a cushion or some padding underneath one side to prop you up. So I'm putting it underneath my right buttocks here. And then you can take your arms a little bit wider. Opening out through your chest, shoulders to the front of your body. Breathing into the pose. Quite a strong pose, swan. Using your breath to soften. If you are working in deer, taking yourself to the other side. Moving into sleeping swan by walking your hands out, keeping your hips where they are. So you can come onto any sort of support here, onto blocks like you did before, or onto your bolster. Or perhaps closer down to the ground. Just feeling where you need to be. That edge, that place that's just right for you. Bring it into your right glute. to that right hip, to your left hip flexor down the top of your left leg, up to your left hip as well. Let's take just 2 more breaths here in your own time. And then start to walk your hands back up to the support of your arms. And take your right leg back. Do a little bit of movement here. Down dog, rolling around, or you can simply head straight down onto your back. That's where we're heading to feel the full effect of the rebound. So take your time to move down onto your back. And once you're down on your back, you may like to bring your knees into your chest. And then you can lie down, your knees into your chest, and gently rock. Just to massage out your lower back. Perhaps you do some circles or small stretches with your legs. And then let's take our legs out long in Shavasana. Or you can keep your knees bent with your feet flat on the floor. Let's just pause and feel the rebound. Now let's take a deep breath in through our nose and out through our mouth with an ah. Let's do one more deep breath in through your nose and out through your mouth with an ah. Allowing the weight of your body to rest on the ground. And from here, we're going to come into a spinal twist. So if you have your preferred version, heading on in at your own pace. Otherwise, bringing your knees into your chest. And let's drop our knees over to the right-hand side. Shuffle your hips a little bit to the left. Take your arms out to the sides at shoulder height. And from here, notice how you feel, how the twist feels in your spine. You can use a bolster underneath your knees for some support. If your knees are hovering off the ground. And make sure you keep your left shoulder blade connected to the mat. So you're nice and grounded in your twist. I like to experiment with bringing your knees closer towards your chest or taking them further away. Notice how that changes your experience of the twist. You could also look over towards your left hand. If your neck feels okay. And for anyone who wishes to deepen into twisted roots, you can take yourself there. Bring your knees back to the center and cross your left knee over your right. Take your left foot behind your right calf and drop your knees over to the right hand side. You can use a bolster support as well. You can let that left foot come out from your right calf as well, if it doesn't go there. Settling right into your version of twist. And softening with your breath. And you can soften right through your legs. Just allowing yourself to rest here in your twist. Giving yourself permission to simply be. And let's take 2 more breaths here. And then releasing, coming back to the center with your knees. You may like to do a little bit of movement, or perhaps you just feel like going over to the other side. We're heading on in when you're ready or following along. Bringing your knees to your chest and we're dropping our knees over to the left. Need to move your hips a little bit to the right. Taking your arms out at shoulder height. You can use a bolster underneath your knees. They're hovering. Making sure your right shoulder blade is anchored on the ground. And adjusting your knees either closer in or further away to find that nice juicy twist. And you can look over to your right hand if your neck is okay. If you're deepening into twisted roots, bringing your knees back up, crossing your right knee over your left. And taking your right foot behind your left calf, if it goes there. Bring your knees over to the left. Still use your bolster support. Wherever you are working, softening with your breath. And if it feels right for you, you can invite a deep sense of peace into your whole being. A soothing energy of peace. Staying connected with what you can feel, your breath. And let's take 2 more breaths here, just in your own time. And then bring your legs back up to the center. They like to bring your knees into your chest. Gently rock just to massage through your lower back. And then let's set up for our final resting pose of Shavasana. So you may like to simply take your legs out long, arms down by your sides. You could place a bolster underneath your knees. Could rest your feet flat on the floor with your knees bent. And once you're settled, just taking one more sigh. So a deep breath in through your nose and out through your mouth with an ah. Just ensuring that you are completely comfortable going to be here 5 minutes or so. I'm going to guide you in a body awareness practice. If it doesn't feel right for you, feel free to let my words wash over you. Starting by bringing your awareness to your heels in contact with the ground. Noticing your heels on both sides. Feeling that connection with the ground and then softening through your toes and your feet and your ankles. And feeling your heels contact with the ground. Softening through your lower legs, through your knees, and through your thighs. And then noticing your calves, And any part of the back of your legs which is touching your mat, contact with the ground. Softening now through your buttocks, your pelvic bowl and your base of your body, your hips, your lower back. Noticing your buttocks, lower back in contact with your mat. Now moving up your torso, so the middle of your torso below your rib cage, middle of your back, now your rib cage, and softening inside your rib cage. Softening your upper back in between your shoulder blades. Noticing your shoulder blades in contact with the mat. And softening your shoulders. And bringing your awareness now down your arms, upper arms. And softening through your elbows, your forearms, wrists, hands and fingers. All the way down to your fingertips. And then noticing the parts, the back of your arms, back of your hands in contact with the ground. Now softening through your neck and your throat, so front and back. Shifting your awareness to your jaw and now to your whole face. Softening any tension in your face. Making it your exploration. Softening the sides of your heads, around your ears, the top of your head, and the back of your head. Noticing the back of your head in contact with the mat. Now just noticing your whole body and the parts of your body that are connected to the mat. Just resting for a little bit longer. Now let's start to wake up. So bring some movement through your fingers, through your toes, through your feet. I like to take your arms above your head, stretch right out through your arms, point your toes, and release. Just roll to one side. Pause for a moment. And when you're ready, use the support of your arms to bring yourself back up to a sitting position. And let's bring one hand to our heart center and one hand down onto our belly. And let's bow our head towards our heart. Let's just take a moment here to honor yourself. Honor yourself for taking the time to give yourself the nourishing practice of Yin Yoga. And let's honor each other. So others who are practicing in the group this week. And let's honor our sacred earth. The earth which we all share. It gives us ground for our experience of life. And let's bring our hands to prayer in our heart, at our heart center. And together, let's say namaste. Namaste. I hope the practice was beneficial for you in some way tonight. It's nice to have a bit of a cooler evening here in Melbourne. We've had some hot weather, so nice to cool down. If you have any questions, if you need different options, please feel free to contact me for a chat. And also, I just wanted to mention that I'm offering the first online Yin Yoga class for free for new students for the rest of February. So there's 3 more classes after tonight. So if you do happen to know anyone who might be interested, feel free to pass on my website details or my contact details so you can access them on Facebook or Instagram via my website, or if you have my phone number as well. And yeah, if they have questions, please pass on my details. Yeah. Okay. Would love to see you next week, and I wish you a good week. Okay. Bye for now.